Well, good evening, everybody. Bob Dickerson within the Black here on a Wednesday, sitting in my office enjoying a Crown Royal. I got a bottle of that Crown Reserve. I started to open it today, but I didn't. But here's to you. Here's to Wednesday. Hope everybody is having a good week on Hump Day. Hump Day. That used to mean a lot, especially when you were working that through Friday. You were so happy when Wednesday came because you had 2 more days before the weekend. I was thinking about that song, Living for the Weekend. Hey, put in the chat if you know who made that song. Living for the Weekend. I want to say, I'm not going to call the artist name. It's a famous group from back in the 70s and the 80s. Did a little something in the 90s, but living for the weekend. We're not living for the weekend anymore. The work week has changed. The way people work has changed, but it's still hump day. It's still Wednesday, and you're with Bob Dickerson within the Black. I want to thank all of you for sharing a few minutes with me. I'm going to be coming on tomorrow, I am told, to celebrate another trip around the sun for yours truly. I'll be 69 years old first thing in the morning. And so happy about that. That's always a blessing to have been around for that long, these many years. Thank God for that. And thank God for all of you being there. So now I want to give a shout out to my wife, Marquita, who helps me do all of these things and more. You don't see her behind the scenes, but she makes it happen. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm looking over there at her. I'm not going to put her on camera because she's running away from it. But thank you for helping me. And we're going to, in a safe, in the COVID environment kind of way, have a bit of a celebration tomorrow with just a couple of folks, mask, social distance, because that COVID has not gone anywhere. COVID has not gone anywhere. I've actually known people who've gotten it, a couple of folks really close to me over the past couple of weeks. And so we've still got to be very careful, very diligent. It doesn't say you can't live your life, but protect yourself. Get the vaccine if you haven't gotten it, and encourage other people to get the vaccine. I mean, it's the least you can do to protect me, protect you, protect everybody. Get the vaccine. I mean, it doesn't hurt. It didn't bother me at all. And if it makes you a little woozy or you have a couple of little side effects, I think I heard somebody say it's better to have some side effects than to be on that intubator and to have somebody have to breathe for you. So anyway, thanks to all of you. Continue to put your businesses in the A.G. Gaston Business Institute's directory, Gaston Business Institute. Please continue to do that. We need to know who you are. We need to shop with you. We're just so happy to be able to go to some of the places that we've been able to visit. Black businesses that are doing outstanding work, doing really unique things in the community. I mean, this is really good. Nikki Huntley from last week. We had a great time, great conversation. Glad all of you were able to be there, and just so happy. I'm just happy to be able to go and visit with our people in business. You don't know how much that means to me, and so I want to come to visit you. And so if you're in the directory and if you want me to come, you let me know. Reach out to me and let me know you want me to come, because I want to come check you out. I want to come check out your place of business, put you on Bob Dickerson within the Black, let folks know what you do, where you are, and hopefully they'll spend some of their money with you. So, wanted to make sure to get that in. Now, I told you a month ago as we were leading up to this month that it's football season, my favorite time of year. Maybe it's because I was born in September, but football season is really kind of revving up. Now Saturday, my alma mater, TU, Tuskegee, the Tuskegee Institute Golden Tigers. Well, we took it on the chin again. West Alabama came in, and I think they shut us out too. Anyway, we got to do better. Maybe we scored 8 touchdowns. So anyway, We play Edwin Waters this coming Saturday. So come on, Tigers. Let's pull it together. The SIAC didn't play last year, so this is SIAC team's first time playing in over a year, and so that makes a difference, I think. Anyway, I'm pulling for the Golden Tigers. My other team, the Tide. Boy, the Tide has a test this week. First real test of the season. Some of us may have thought Miami would have put up a bigger fight than they did, and we knew Mercer was just like, that was sort of a warm-up game. Even though sometimes, and with some schools, some of these smaller schools are going in and actually beating them. I mean, I'm talking about Jacksonville State goes down and beats Florida State in Tallahassee. So go Gamecocks. Go Gamecocks. They went down and took care of Florida State in Tallahassee. Go Gamecocks. But Alabama's got Florida this week. It's going to be a big test. First test for Bryce Young and some of the young players, pardon the pun, at the University of Alabama. So I was talking to a Florida fan today, and I said, yeah, I'm worried. He says, Bama fans are always worried, but they always win. And that may be true. What I will say about Bama fans is that when we lose a game, it's like, oh my, what happened? And so when you aspire to always win and you come very close to it. What's up, Carnell? You come very close to it. Then yeah, maybe you do get a little antsy. But it should be a great game. CBS 2:30. That means no golf for me on Saturday. No golf for me on Saturday. Trying to get a tee time on Friday for some of my buddies, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that. Carnell, give us a tee time. Let's go somewhere and play some golf on Friday. So listen, I want to focus on a couple of things today. And mentioning focus, I want to encourage you to do something, and I'm encouraging myself to do this at the same time. Let me take a sip. Marquita reminded me of something I don't do. And many of us have a problem with too much multitasking. Too much multitasking. When you multitask too much, at least I know this for myself, then you have the tendency to leave projects unfinished. I'll say that again. When you multitask too much, and we all have to multitask. Life is about multitasking. You've got a phone here and a computer here and an iPad here and somebody talking to you there, and then you get a call and it happens. And I'm guilty of it, I confess. But too much multitasking takes your eye off finishing. And so what I want to talk about is I want to encourage us, me included, to focus on finishing. Focus on finishing. Make sure that you check the box on task 1 before you embark on 2, 3, and 4. Because when you don't, you find yourself, Mylene, with a bunch of unfinished tasks. And once you get to a certain point, then it's even more difficult to finish because your train of thought is different. You've actually lost some of those ideas and thoughts that you had you focused on finishing and just kind of kept your head down, stayed, engaged with the task at hand, then you're going to find yourself being more productive. So I'm talking to myself, and maybe as I'm talking to myself, it will help some of you, because I just got to believe that I'm not the only one who is challenged with things coming up. And yeah, I started on this, and then the phone rang and somebody called, and now I want to go and finish this. And the thing I started on at 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. or whatever time it was, here it is 6 or after, and I'm still not done. And so, the words of today, because I'm guilty of too much multitasking, maybe you are too. Focus on finishing. I try to make a to-do list. I share it with people, but we got to check some stuff off that list. That list shouldn't grow and start off at one page. Hey, elevator. elevator. Sorry about that. Yeah, we're constantly moving, aren't we? But you know, you find yourself when you make a to-do list, and 2 weeks later, the one-page to-do list is now a page and a half or longer because you hadn't finished the stuff that started off. Then that's me. I'm confessing it. Confession is good for the soul, they tell me. So I'm making a confession, but I want us all to focus on finishing our task. Focus on completing. Focus on being able to say that that to do is done. And I don't know about you. I have a task thing on my computer, and you can check it off. You check the little circle when it's done. And I got too many circles that aren't checked. And I don't know about you, but my plan, starting now, I'm not waiting till tomorrow. I'm starting now, is to make sure that I start completing tasks and focusing on finishing and making sure that I don't let that multitasking, Renata, cost me any problems or to miss deadlines and do all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I wanted to mention that I was fortunate and privileged today to be a part of the Booker T. Washington Economic Summit, hosted at, of course, my alma mater, Tuskegee. In the world of COVID, you know, it was virtual. So, you know, we were all where we were. I'm sitting where I am now. But it was a very good summit. It actually goes through tomorrow. So it's free. So I would suggest go online, check it out. We had some good panel discussions. I was on one of them. So I'm going to say it was good. It had some really good folks on it. You know, not just me. But we started off with my really good friend who really inspires me every time I hear her talk, Maggie Anderson. Maggie, of course, came to our A.G. Gaston conference last year virtually. She's been here before when it wasn't virtual. I'm sure I'll have her again. She's a woman who wrote the book, Our Black Year. Kellogg funded her to do an empowerment experiment that really looked at what's happening to our businesses, what's happening to our Black businesses, because Black businesses are, if we don't do anything differently, are going to be a dying breed. They're going to be a dying breed. But when Booker T. Washington, who the summit was named after, at the Atlanta Expo talked about Black businesses, we were ascending. You know, we were fighting against Jim Crow and all kinds of overt discrimination and segregation, but we were still ascending because we traded with each other. We supported each other. We spent our money with each other. Now, we didn't have a lot of money then. We have a whole lot more money now collectively. And we need to find a way to harness our economic power and spend our money with our people. And so we had a great conversation. Maggie does an outstanding job of really bringing it home and making it real and talking about how she and her family spent a year and spent all their money with Black companies. You know, they made a commitment to spend all their money with Black companies, and it wasn't easy, even in Chicago. I mean, we here in Alabama and in the South, we tend to think that northern cities, you know, have it made, and you know, no, you know, it's rough everywhere. And so to find a grocery store, to find somebody to, you know, fix your shoes or buy an appliance from or buy your clothes from, you know, it's not always easy, but it is necessary. If we expect our businesses to survive and thrive, if we expect them to be able to hire our children and our grandchildren, then we got to make whatever sacrifice we can to shop with them. We got to shop with our people whenever and wherever possible. The second thing we have to do is we have to understand that our businesses are at a competitive disadvantage. Now, what's that mean? That means I may have to pay you $1 more or $2 more. And I got to be willing to do that. Now, we always get into this conversation about customer service and that kind of thing. And that's a kind of touchy and sensitive area. Because most of us, when we spend our money, we want good service, we want quality, we want it on time. Um, and even if we pay a little bit more for it, we still want it to be good. You know, we don't want it to be more expensive and poor. And so, and I'm not advocating for that, but I am cautioning us to make sure that we understand that our businesses are operating at somewhat of a competitive disadvantage. And so when we can and whenever we can, let's make sure that when things aren't just like we want them to be, that we become more nurturing, that we become that we don't lose our advocacy, that we don't say, "Oh, I'm not doing business with them anymore," or that we don't buy into the white man's ice being colder and sugar being sweeter at the expense of our folks. No, we cannot do that. We cannot afford to do that. The other thing that a couple of things came out of this conference, and again, Maggie just does an outstanding job, because one of the things that she has done is she has researched where to buy Black all over Chicago, where she lives, and across this country. Her wine, her liquor, she talks about that. Her hair care products, her children's clothes, the cleaners that her husband gets his shirts done at. I mean, she walks the walk. She doesn't just talk the talk. And more of us need to try to do that. The other thing that we have to come to grips with, and Booker T. Washington, who was a visionary, and actually, I won't say that he was before his time, because he was a man of his time. Keep in mind, he was speaking to ex-slaves, people who had come out of slavery. And so he wasn't a proponent necessarily of integration, but he was a proponent of self-help and self-determination among our folks. He believed that we needed to have a sense of self, a sense of who we are, the responsibility to help each other, being responsible for each other. And so when you really think about being industrious, being self-determined, understanding who you are and being honest with yourself and others about who you are and where you are, then your behavior becomes a little bit different. When you understand that you have a responsibility to help another brother or sister, then your behavior comes a little bit different. So what we know about Booker T. Washington is that he already had envisioned the future of Black economics, but when we integrate it, in a lot of ways, we let some of that slip. We quit eating at the Black restaurant. You want to call it the greasy spoon? I don't normally say that. We weren't frequenting the places. As a matter of fact, we went all out to go to the places that we were forbidden to go to before. And I think in a way that has really caused us to not have the successful businesses that you would have thought we would have had coming out of World War II and into the 50s by now, 80 years later. But don't despair. We're still that Black girl magic wine, and now about the McBride sisters. So LaVeda knows some stuff. She's on it. So we've got to sort of revisit where we are and what we do with the over $1 trillion that we get in our pockets every year. We have to revisit it, and we have to make sure that we channel some of that money into our stuff. We've got to do some stuff to make sure that we start to build back our economy that has been decimated so many times. I mean, obviously, there was the economic robbery that occurred from 1619 to really beyond 1863. because the emancipation didn't necessarily put any money in our pocket. And the promise of the 40 acres and a mule never came true. And then the economic detours that Jim Crow and even laws that legalize segregation and legalize discrimination, we fought to overcome that, but we still have to fight. We still got stuff that we have to overcome. And if we don't overcome it, then we will slip. We are not better off than we were 20 years ago. Now, the Great Depression or recession of the 2008 or 9, that took a lot of value out of our real estate. COVID has not helped us, especially not helped our businesses, and then not helped our service workers. So we've got to do some stuff. And I want to suggest, what's up, Ant? I want to suggest a couple of things that I think we all ought to take a look at. No matter how old you are, how young you are, how much money you make, these are things that I think we all should do. Keep in mind, the average net worth. Now, I've talked about net worth on this broadcast before, just as a refresher. The net worth is the difference between your assets and your liabilities. So hopefully the things you own, your assets, are worth more than what you owe, your liabilities, and then you have net worth. Well, the average net worth of a Black family is less than 10% than the average net worth of a white family. And some publications like the Urban League that does the state of Black America every year would imply that the average net worth for Black families in America is below $10,000. Now, that's not good. The average net worth of a white family in America is around $100,000. And most of that net worth is usually concentrated in home equity. Now, that's not saying that if you own a home, it doesn't have any equity. It's talking about all Black folks, because too many of our folks, and there's nothing against renting, nothing against it, but we need more home ownership. And we need more home ownership in places where our property is appreciating and improving in value. That's where net worth is coming from. So just a few things that I think we need to do. And I think that if Booker T. Washington were here, or A.G. Gaston, or some of our Black economic scholars from the past, they would be echoing some of these same suggestions. But one of the things that we have to do is we have to make smart real estate investments. Smart real estate investments. We've got to the economic empowerment is not going to be legislated. It's not going to be given to us. It's going to be seized, and one of the ways to seize it is by making smart real estate investments. Real estate investment, buying houses, buying property, making sure that you build that cachet of property up, leaving it to your future generations, and then protecting your property and your community. Not allowing. Wait a minute. I guess I'm getting now. I have to get a little more crown, but just not allowing our property to run down. Making sure that even when we pass on, that we've left something that somebody else wants and will keep up and will actually, take it over and make it better. We have got to make smart real estate investments that will help us improve our net worth and start to do what we are trying to do, which is close the racial wealth gap. That's the gap between the 100,000 net worth and the average 10. We've got to get smart with how we spend our money, period. One of the things that I admired about A.G. Gaston, who was a multimillionaire, A.G. Gaston lived beneath his means. He could have had a $1 million house and driven a Lamborghini or 2 or 3 and done, yes, crown, darling, today, crown, not bourbon, crown. He could have done all of that, but he didn't. He didn't. He fed his business, and he set an example for other people. Just a quick story. So So there are a lot of folks that work for Gaston, and Gaston paid good money. I mean, the executives that worked there made enough money to buy whatever they wanted to buy, including Cadillacs and Mercedes and all that stuff. But he didn't drive the biggest car, and he had the most money. And consequently, nobody there, even if they had a Cadillac, they didn't drive it to work. Because he led with that example of being thrifty, and he lived beneath his means. Too many of us today live above our means. Credit card debt, and that's not just black folks. Credit card debt is approaching $2 trillion in America. $2 trillion in credit card debt. Now, I don't even want to talk about student loan debt because that's a different thing. And it's sad that people have to get into that kind of debt to go to college. But credit card and all this debt that we're accumulating, that isn't smart. So if we want to close the racial wealth gap, one of the things that we can start doing is to focus on trying to live beneath your means, not at them, and certainly not above. Passing on wealth via insurance products. That's a strategy that other communities have used for years, and we don't use it enough. Making an investment in those kinds of insurance products that when we leave here, and trust me, we're all going to leave here. Every time I have a birthday, you're getting closer, and I'm not, I'm not trying to, make it any quicker than it has to be, but it's inevitable. Since it's inevitable, let's prepare for it. And it's not just getting a policy to bury you, but it's getting something that you can leave to future generations, leaving something that empowers your children and grandchildren and the people that you'll leave behind. That's smart. And that's what we got to get. We got to get more money smart. And then the final thing I'll say, and this is not family, because there are other things that we should be doing, but I'm going to get the hook in just a minute. Then we have got to start and grow successful business enterprises. Wealth is created in that business space more often than anywhere else. It's difficult, even living beneath your means, to become wealthy, working and paying your bills and investing even in your 401k. It's good to do that. You should. But creating wealth is catalyzed by entrepreneurial activities and endeavors. It's catalyzed by enterprise. So the more entrepreneurial, the more enterprising we are, the better off we are financially. We need more businesses that can grow and scale. We need more businesses that can grow and employ. We need more businesses that create generational wealth for owners and their families. We need to support them. We need more. Those are just a few things that we need to do, because it's imperative that those of us who are awake and aware do what we can to make sure that we make a difference before we leave here. And one other thing I want to say, and this sort of came out in the session today, we cannot be one-sided because we might be angry at the man. In other words, we are in this system, this economic system, and no matter how we dislike it, and no matter what it has done to hurt us, we cannot get so one-sided that we want to isolate ourselves and detach ourselves and say, well, that work cars, that's a real thing when you're growing up. Yeah, you have to have a work car. You had your work car, you had your Sunday car. But we can't really say that because things have not been fair, we're going to disassociate with our system. Secondly, we cannot throw away the organizations that have helped us for years. Yeah, maybe we haven't become millionaires through their efforts and help, but we could be a lot worse off. We have to play, in my opinion, on all fields. There are things that we should be getting from corporate America, and we need to be there, and we need to be engaged in order to get those. There are things that we should be getting because these corporations have now found some conscience, and now they have environmental, social, and governance, ESG, and the banks have CRA, the Community Reinvestment Act. Well, we need to make sure that we get everything that we can. It may not be enough. It may not be the right amount. It may not be the 40 acres and the mule, but we need to get what we can. We can't get so one-sided, angry, or just not smart that we say, well, because you haven't been fair with us, we just don't want it. No, I don't buy that. And we cannot throw away organizations that have existed to help us throughout our years. We still have to support the Urban League. We still have to support the NAACP. We still have to support the SCLC. We still have to support social and civic organizations in our communities that exist to help. No, that none of them are perfect. A lot of them are struggling too, but we have to support them, and we can't throw them away. We can't abandon the institutions that go to corporate America to try to extract stuff for you. We've got to learn how to be smart and to utilize all of the resources and all of the organizations that are at our disposal, that are in our community, or that interact with our community. That's the strategy that I think we need to employ. And that's what we need to deploy ourselves as advocates for our community, advocates for small businesses, advocates for better housing, advocates for financial literacy. So that's what I'm about. Now I'm going to go and I'm going to drink the rest of my crown. I'm going to start celebrating the beginning of my 70th trip around that sun. And hopefully I'll be around for a few more. Hey, this is Bob Dickerson Within the Black. I'll see you again in the morning with one of my special birthday messages. See you soon.